Hey strangers, Amanda here. I know that this isn't how we usually open an episode, but Melissa and I wanted to take a quick minute before we begin today to let you know that we discussed some things that might be triggering for some of you. Today's conversation covers miscarriage, congenital defects, pro-choice, and abortion. Whew. Here's the thing. While these topics are heavy and emotionally charged, I promise you that it's not 50 minutes of doom and gloom. As it seems to be our way, we do manage to find light in the awkward. And if you still want to listen and skip all of that, you're going to want to fast forward right to minute 23. For those of you who have experienced any of the above or have loved ones that have experienced this, we are providing a list of resources in our Instagram stories. We're also going to provide links to those resources in our link tree, which can be found in our bio in Instagram. And we will also refer you out to those at the end of this episode. In the meantime, let's begin.
Hey, want to have hard conversation? Okay. Who the fuck does that?
I put, whenever we're going to record, I always let Chris know, and then I'll put it on the calendar just so it's there. And I said, I guess maybe yesterday, I was like, hey, we're gonna record tonight. And he was like, oh, well, what happened to Sunday? And I was like, well, she made me cry. And then we had to stop the conversation. Because I'm on my period, and I said she hit me out of nowhere with validating feelings for me, and I said, and I wasn't expecting it because that's not what this show is about. He was like,
yeah. Okay. No, I came out of the room, and Justin every Sunday night I come out of the room and Justin goes, how'd it go? I'm like, it was cool. I think we got something tonight. It's cool. Then that night, how'd it go? I was like, ooh. I was like, I think I made that lady cry. He's like, what happened? I was like, ain't nobody trying to talk about dead babies and stuff and feelings and shit. He's like, what the fuck did you do? Because, like, I'm his wife. He knows that I have a tendency to fuck people up. And I go, no, I fucked her up good. Like, I think I was doing a good thing. It just was an emotional place, and, like, none of us were ready for that. And he was like, oh. So then I was like, so maybe Tuesday or Wednesday we're going to have to, do a redo so we can have material for the following week. So just FYI, because, he has to, he has to do the dishes and, like, brush their teeth and do stuff while I'm in here doing this. And he was like, okay, so what are you guys going to talk about? I was like, probably the same shit, just hopefully she doesn't cry again.
Well, I think it was a lot of things. Last week was just a hard week for me with all that training, and that fucked me up because I hate not being good at something right away. And I was having a lot of big feelings about not being good at it right away. And then my period came on Friday. It was just a lot of stuff, but also, like, I haven't talked about him in a while, and I wasn't expecting to go there. So
I wasn't either.
I felt really bad for you.
I shriveled up. I was like, oh fuck, what have I done?
I felt really bad because you were apologizing a lot, and I was like, it's okay, I promise it's okay.
Well, here's the twofold problem. First of all, your problem is you don't like being not good at something on the first try, so you just keep trying. I have a solution for that. I just don't try new shit. I only do stuff that I'm excellent at from the jump. And if I even tiptoe into something and I'm like, feeling a challenge here, that's just not going to happen again. And it works out perfectly because the only things that I really need to be good at, I'm good at, which is keeping my kids alive, and staying in the house. So the other thing, talking about feelings, I
Mm-mm.
just reject that outright. I don't. So when we stumbled upon a conversation of lost babies, I didn't know it was going to go that direction. And when we started talking about your baby and your loss, when I said that was a whole person, because it was,
Mm-hmm.
like, I thought that was going to be a virtual hug.
It was a virtual hug. The thing that I think is hard, and you miscarried after Shalom, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I think the thing that I personally struggled with, and maybe you did too, is that when you lose a baby in utero, everybody is very kind and very nice and understanding because it's a hard thing to go through. Um, but as the person who's experiencing the loss, I think that there are a lot of feelings of I don't want to, for me especially, I felt like I don't want to be that crazy lady that like always talks about her dead baby, or I don't want to be that crazy lady that's like always sad about her dead baby, because for us, he was very real. It's hard for other people to, unless you've gone through it, to grasp that, because unless the baby is like out in the world, it's kind of like a very amorphous thing, right? It's just an
Yeah.
idea.
Right.
Um,
And people, only you live in your body.
mm-hmm,
Only you know the changes you're going through. Only you know the relationship that you're starting to have with this soul
mm-hmm,
slash person growing inside your body. And
mm-hmm,
so I think when you lose a baby, and it's not like, a baby that was out in the world, or it's not like a stillbirth, I
mm-hmm.
think there's this weird, like, desensitized way that the outside world thinks you should just move forward and get over it.
Right.
But then there's also the whole flip side of, you could lose a baby, you know, 9 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 20 weeks, and people, like, you feel self conscious about having real feelings about that because nobody else thought it was real. And so then you try to convince yourself that it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And then in so doing, you hold those feelings inside so that nobody thinks you're the crazy lady
Yeah.
that's so upset about losing a baby at 9 weeks when it was, it was a kidney bean. What are you talking about?
Right.
And so then it's a complicated, weird dichotomy to be in, where you, the person, feel very real feelings
Yeah.
about this baby you lost, but at the same time, you, the person, do not want to be judged by having
Mm-hmm.
feelings about this baby you lost. So, like, but then also there's this whole weird other thing where you are, maybe you don't feel that attached to it. Maybe you have a super scientific mind and you're like, okay, I lost, because for me, I lost a baby at the 9 week mark. I went to that appointment and it was no fetal heartbeat, and
Mm-hmm.
I was upset, but then I waited weeks to be upset. And that
Mm-hmm.
whole time I was like, oh my God, I'm a sociopath. Something's very wrong with me because I'm not that upset. Something's very wrong with me. But then when I got upset, it was a real upset.
How long did it take you to for those feelings to kind of come to the surface?
It was like I spent a lot of time because all my girlfriends were pregnant at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we were all going to be pregnant together with this baby. And, like,
Oh.
theirs was alive and mine wasn't. And I spent a lot of time making sure that they didn't feel weird around me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all of the energy I would put into, oh my God, don't worry about it. Oh my God, stop. I'm not. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
What
Mm-hmm.
are we going to do? Stop pretend. We're going to pretend you don't exist in this world as a pregnant person because I lost my baby. Come on, stop.
Yeah.
So all of that, putting a lot of energy into making sure they were okay,
Yeah.
took away from my internal space to get through it. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
in the quiet times by myself, I would be really sad. Only because, like, it was really hard to get pregnant.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell if it was sad about the baby or sad about all that work.
Yeah.
It just didn't work. And then, like, now I got to go through this again and wonder what the fuck's wrong with my body. Why doesn't my body do what I want it to do? Like, what the fuck else could I do right? Like, how could I keep getting this wrong? Like,
Yeah.
it was like a weird internal disappointment.
That's some real shit. I mean, I, as women, like, you hit on a very big thing of like making sure that everybody else is comfortable and like happy and okay, while also denying your very real feelings, while also like blaming yourself for something that like you had absolutely nothing to do. I think that's really hard. I miscarried before I had Quinn, and I felt like I did all the right things. I took all the vitamins. I ate all the healthy foods. I did whatever. Like, the fuck's wrong with me? I'm young. This should be working. I don't know anybody that's miscarried. Like, it's that kind of mind fuck. It's a lot to carry, and nobody talks about it. And I think that's the other hard thing, is that I had one friend who was also trying to conceive, who had a string of miscarriages, and was like the only person that I could talk to who like actually understood what it felt like to go through that.
I think where I felt bad in the previous conversation we tried to have, though, is I
Yeah.
didn't want you to think that I, at my 9 week loss, at any time or point, was saying, "Oh, I get it. I know where you've been. I understand your feelings." Because at the point in time where you lost your baby is a completely different situation, a completely different emotional space. And so, like, I was like, I hope she doesn't think that I'm insensitive and think that these are the same, because I don't think they're the same. So, backtracking and telling all your business, when you had expressed that at the 20-week mark, they told you your baby was incompatible with life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there's this space where when you're talking to another woman about something that you kind of know about but kind of don't know about, and you're trying to be supportive,
Mm-hmm.
at the same time you have to think about inside what she's feeling and not say, "Oh yeah, I've been there, I understand that," because you don't. And,
Uh,
like, how
I
you
I
were I was worried about how you were going to take it, so I was like, "Fuck, why did I just say that?"
no, no. So I disagree with you, because you do, and I think that any lady who has been pregnant understands that the minute that you pee on that test and it says it's positive, you automatically calculate your due date, figure out when that baby's due, and then from there you start to imagine, what does my life look like in whatever December with this baby? What is, if you have other kids, who's this baby going to look like? Or even if you don't, you start to wonder, like, is this baby going to look more like my partner? Is it going to look more like me? What am I going to be like as a mom? So you understand that you, like, from the moment that you find out that you're expecting, you automatically build this whole life with this person who is microscopic cells dividing. I think that the difference lies in, when we lose a pregnancy before that 12-week mark, and I don't know if you waited to tell everybody, we waited until after 12 weeks to share the news. But I was showing, everybody knew, we had announced it to everybody. For everything that we knew, the baby was fine. We had no cause for concern. I was young. I had not had any problems previously, so it came as a shock. And I think the hardest part of that was that I had to decide how to move forward. And I didn't have to decide that with the first loss that I had. It was decided for me. Like, the pregnancy terminated itself and it was done, and I just had to wait it out. Whereas with this one, there was a very heavy sense of responsibility, because I had to consider my health. moving forward and what were my risks if I were to continue the pregnancy. What was the risk to my mental health, knowing myself, and if I had to carry that pregnancy to term, then I also had to wrestle with, okay, well, what does this look like if I have to deliver this baby, knowing this baby's going to have to be delivered via cesarean because I had had 2 previous? Do I go through the trial of labor and like go ahead and, induce labor and birth this baby now at 20 weeks? Or do I terminate the pregnancy? Terminating the pregnancy comes with a whole other slew of baggage, right? Because
In the
we
state you
live
live in.
in the state that I live in. I mean, I think living in America in general,
Yeah.
like abortion is such a heavy topic, and people aren't willing to look at it from the perspective of it's not just some woman who doesn't want a baby. There are very real scenarios where this baby was very much wanted, and for whatever reason this mother has chosen, given her set of circumstances, that this cannot go on. And so, the choice for me was easy, but then reconciling, like, when we chose to terminate the pregnancy, my midwife said that first night, you don't have to tell anybody what you chose. You just say the baby passed. That's it. You don't have to explain yourself or whatever. And for a while I didn't, and I just said that he passed. And then with the 2016 election, and I specifically remember the debate between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton where they were debating late-term abortion. And that for me was the moment where I was like, you know what? I have to tell people that I chose this, because if I don't, there are very real consequences potentially for my friends who might take the very ridiculous things that he was saying as being true. And having lived it, I needed to get that story out there. So it was that moment that I decided to become vocal about it and actually share my story. And since then have continued to share it. And it's really the reason why I started Your Mom Has a Podcast, to give other women an opportunity to share stories that may be hard or difficult or rare. Because for me, as somebody who always saw herself as very pro-choice, starting to have these icky feelings of like, did I do the right thing? Should I have carried him to term? Should I have had that experience? Was I being selfish? Did I do something wrong? Even though I knew deep down that I made the right choice, I had read blogs and been on Facebook groups where people chose to carry to term. And I thought, as a mom, did I do the right thing? He was loved and very much wanted. And did I make a selfish choice? It was a decision that was just wrought with a lot of sides, and nothing felt right.
Right. And then even after you made the choice, which was the right choice for you personally, for
Yeah.
you on a familial level, for
Yeah.
you for your personal health, even though you made the right choice, there's always going to be that little tiny voice in the back of your mind that wonders what could have been. And that's just being a mom. That's just
Yeah.
wondering who this soul that could have come into my family and come into my life, what that person could have brought out in me.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think you're always going to have that, even though you know 100% that you made the right choice, even though you know, given that circumstance again, you, the person, would still make that choice.
Right.
I think that that's a perfectly normal thing. But, like, I understand what you're saying, where, like, oh no, the reason why I'm saying I didn't want you to feel like I was saying, oh yeah, I totally get it, by bringing up my situation is
Yeah.
The cool narcissist, why are you bringing up that shit? She just told you this shit. But even though I was truly trying to relate, but B, yeah, the choice had been made for me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
because with mine, there was there were two kinds of trisomy that the baby, trisomy 18, there's mosaic and there's fatal. So
Mm-hmm.
mosaic, the baby can live and you can carry it and you
Mm-hmm.
can see what's going to happen, but I happen to have fatal, and so that choice was made for me. So I didn't have to, go through the thing you had to go through, and I just wanted to make it like absolutely clear to you, which is why that conversation went so left. Like, I'm so sorry, I fucked up. And also, like, I'm just getting to know your ass. I don't know. That would be like a, let's say, you took that conversation like, wow, she really just tried to say that her 9-week dead baby is the same as my 20-week one. Okay, weirdo. Like, like that shapes the dynamic between two women. So like I was like trying, it's like when you it's like black nail polish. You keep trying to fix it. You keep trying to fix it. It's keep smudging. It's just keep going on the sides. You're trying everything, and then finally you just take the whole thing off. But now your finger's kind of gray. Like fuck, it just, it just keeps getting worse. I was like, yeah. So maybe we could just talk another time. I
Well,
felt
I think
horrible.
no, the reason that it hit me the way that it did was, for a lot of different reasons. It had been a hard week, and I haven't talked about him. I think about him every single day, but I haven't had an opportunity to have that conversation in a while. And the fact that you validated that he was a whole ass person, a lot of people don't understand that, and it doesn't come from a place of like malice or ill will. But the day that I learned that he was incompatible with life, I someone had someone close to me had said, it's okay, you can have more children, you have two beautiful children already. And people mean well when they say that, and they will say that to you at any stage of a loss because they're trying to be helpful and they're trying to remind you of the good. And it's like, I know that, but like also I really wanted this baby, and having another
This
one
baby,
is
this
this
baby.
one.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And so for you to acknowledge that, especially, I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I sat in therapy and I was like, I don't want to be the crazy lady that talks about her dead baby all the time because it's very real. So the fact that you were just like, I didn't even have to say that to you, and the fact that you said it and you understood it, it hit me in a soft place.
Okay, good. I'm glad that's fixed.
So
Especially
we can
since we're trying
carry
to run
on.
it, yeah, and since we're trying to run a business together, we still have to go through that email and figure out our LLC. And I was like, well, there goes that.
Good thing we didn't spend that $1,500.
Fucking A, Melissa. See what happens when you try new things? You just fuck them up. No, I know, and that's.
We're going to get like way into the woo woo now. But like, I went to see this woman a friend had recommended me to go see, and I don't even know what to call her. My friend calls her the witch doctor. She's in my phone as the witch doctor. But she does massage, and when you go in to talk to her, she asks you a bunch of questions. And I don't even know how I came up with this, but started talking to her about Luca. And so as she's like massaging your body, she's looking for those places where you hold emotion, because you hold
Yeah.
emotions in your body. So I cried my way through that entire massage, and it was the most cathartic thing that I've ever been through. And I felt like, okay, like maybe this is all out now. Like maybe I've just like released all of this stuff. But, like it did last week or Sunday, sometimes it just comes up and it hits you out of nowhere, or a song will come up or something will happen, and it gets easier and it gets softer. But sometimes it just, God, it hits you at a left field, and I have no regrets about anything that happened. And God, if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have Lennox. And I love the
Right.
shit out of that kid.
Yeah. That's how would I would be like, had that not happened, I wouldn't have Maja. And Maja is a specific kind of baby. She's a real interesting person in this world that's going to do a lot of things, and that had to happen for that to happen, because
Yeah.
the souls only line up and they
Yep.
come out into the world when they're good and goddamn ready.
Yes.
So that one was a dud, but
Mm-hmm.
it paved the way for Maja. And
Yeah.
it's so weird. It's the only pregnancy I know of that was a boy.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I was just not meant to have boys. Just not.
Well, a friend put it this way. She said, "You, his soul was only meant to come in for this purpose, and you
Right.
serve the purpose of moving him from one place to the next." And that was really healing for me to think that, like, there was a purpose. There was a reason why this happened. And if this didn't happen, maybe your mom's, has a podcast wouldn't happen. This wouldn't have happened with you and I. So there's friendships that came out of it for me that
I believe
maybe
all
wouldn't
that
have.
shit.
Yes,
I believe
I do
all
too.
that shit. Like when I'm this is dumb, but like when I'm running late for shit and Justin's all mad, I'm like, bro, if I would have been on time, I could have been hit by a Mack truck. You don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh no, I'm the same exact way.
Like that's what I really believe though. And like leading up to what's weird is I had a running list of baby names for boys.
Yeah.
And I didn't find out that it was a boy until after I got the results back telling me what was wrong with the baby.
Yeah.
I parked at the hospital where I was getting the DNC done, and there happened to be in the space next to me in the snow, someone's hubcap.
Mm-hmm.
It was like covered and it was parked like catty corner, and I don't know why I looked at it. I looked at it, and the name that I had chosen for this particular baby was on that hubcap, and I was like, see. Like, I get weird messages from the universe all the time. Justin thinks I'm fucking crazy. I'm like, bro, why would I have seen that? But it
I
was that
believe
name.
it.
It was
That's
that name.
crazy.
Yeah. Baby
That
Asa.
doesn't just happen.
I know. And it sucked. I was like, fuck. I almost wished I didn't see it because I still really liked the name, but now it wasn't usable.
Yeah, I believe in that shit too. 100%.
100%.
Did I tell you the time that there was an orb that passed through a video that the boys were taking? So Bennett and Lennox were playing. This is probably like maybe like 3 years ago. They were playing in the front room, and Bennett was asking Lennox to like sing songs, and I think he was singing the ABCs. And they were just, goofing around or whatever. But that night, I picked up Bennett's iPad and I was watching the videos that they were making, and I picked this one, and he's singing, and from the left corner to the right corner, a white orb went across the screen. And I was like, holy shit, that was Luca. And I sent it to my girlfriend, who also believes in all this woo-woo. And I didn't even say anything to her. I just said, watch the video. And she watched it, and she said it back, and I was like, thank you. You just validated my feelings. So I go to show Chris, and Chris was like, it's probably dust. And I was like, no, dude, it is a spirit. And he was like, well, I wanted to say that, but I didn't want you to freak out because I also know that you like get scared about ghosts and stuff. I was like,
So he did believe you.
Yes. And then all
Well,
the
he
cardinals.
believes you. I've said he believes you about the birds.
Yes. Yes. That shit's insane. There's no way.
There's no way. 100%. A specific bird coming to visit you that often
Right.
is that baby.
Yes.
And
The
even
fact
if
that
even if it wasn't, but it is. But even if it wasn't, if that's your belief system,
Yeah.
then that's what's real for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know how many people in the world have been told, their mother who passed, when you see a butterfly, that shit helps people. That shit heals people.
Yeah.
And I also think that shit is real.
I do too. It's comforting.
So I converted to Judaism, and a lot of people think I converted to Judaism because I was marrying a Jewish guy, and I wasn't. I
Mm-hmm.
actually married the Jewish guy and was married for 3 years and already had the baby before I decided for myself. So I was doing a lot of research on my own because I was not super into religion.
Mm-hmm.
You start talking about religion, and I'd be like, duh. But I really admired the way that Justin was raised, and I admired the tenets of Judaism. So I was like, let me read up on this shit on my own and see how I feel. And if I come to a place where I would like to do that, I will do that. And so I didn't talk to anybody in Justin's family or to Justin directly about it. I would talk to my friend Francine.
Mm-hmm.
Francine is my husband's business partner's mother, late mother, may she rest in peace. Um, and she and I had just this random unlikely friendship. When I first moved here and I was a childless housewife, I would
Mm-hmm.
run up to the store that she ran for her husband, and we would just be in there kicking it, like
Mm-hmm.
hours at a time. I would just sit in there with this old Jewish lady, and we would get to chatting, and we would talk about everybody in the neighborhood. We would split French fries from across the street, and we would just be talking about people. And like it was my homegirl. Like every family occasion that there was, like that's who I'm sitting by. Like don't even put me by the like, and
Yeah.
there was no reason, but we loved each other. So I started asking her very direct and specific questions about Judaism, and not just Judaism, but like Long Island specific Judaism. Like, well, which is the bagel place I gotta go to? Which is the, like, and she was just my person. And I knew everything she liked, everything she didn't like. And so when she passed, it was just really fucking hard for me. She passed like it was my own mama that died. Like it sucked. And at that time, I was still on Facebook, and a picture of rainbow cookies, this is a New York thing,
Uh-huh.
came across on the screen. It had nothing to do with her, but like those were her cookies. And I remember
Mm-hmm.
when she was in the throes of her sickness, she didn't want anybody to see her. I had delivered rainbow cookies to her door, and her daughter had told me my mom got them, thank you, whatever. So like it was a thing, and like the rainbow cookies just really fucked me up. And after that, I decided I am going to convert to Judaism. This is the final push. Like she gave me all the information that I need. I am now ready.
Mm-hmm.
So I set out to find a rabbi, and I settled on this one rabbi who he was just cool. It was Mickey. And, I went to the place. I said I wanted to do it, and he turned me away, and I was just like, what the fuck? And after he turned me away, he opened the door, and he was like, this is what I have to do. I have to turn you away 3 times. So you got to come back here 2 times. And I was like, and two more times you're going to tell me no? He goes, 2 more times I'm going to tell you no, and then you got to come back here. I was like,
Is
okay.
that like standard or is that just
Yeah.
him?
No, it's a Jewish thing. So like
Okay.
they want to make sure that anybody who wants to convert is really serious about it. You got to come back 3 times. They're going to tell you no 3 times. So I came back the 3 times. He said no. Finally, the fourth time he came back, he said, are you ready? I said, I'm ready. I sat down. I got out my little notebook, and for some reason, and I was so prepared and I was so excited because I also,
Mm-hmm.
keep in mind at this point, had not told anybody that I was doing this.
Yeah.
I wanted to take a couple of the courses, it was conversion classes. I wanted to take a couple of the courses myself, see if I could stick through it before I told anybody that it was going to be a real thing.
Yeah.
I sit down, and he has a giant cup of pens. I'm talking hundreds of pens.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a real picky, weird pen person. Like the pen has to be a little leaky. It can't be too dry. I gotta have it on a stack of papers. Like there's a way I like to use my pen. So I'm swirling through the cup pen, and I click a pen. I start
Uh-huh.
writing with it. Dude, I had to step out. I was like, I'm sorry, because I looked down at the pen, and the pen said Francine and that last name, her last name, which
Yeah.
it said Francine and her last name, which, and it was the name of a company that makes like promotional pens and frisbees and shit like that. And it was like, I know that Francine didn't do that for a living. So I was like, and I said to him, who is this person? And it was
Mm-hmm.
the same town she lived in. And he was like, oh, she makes promotional pens, blah blah blah. And I go, and she's not this person. He goes, oh, I think I know of the other person. He's like, there's two Francines with the same last name. One just does that. And my husband makes t-shirts with promotional shit on them, so you can get cups and pens. So they happen to be doing the same business, and they happen to have the same last name. So I was just like, yo, I have to step out for a minute. And so I'm outside freaking out. And I'm looking up to the sky. I'm like, are you sending me a message, bitch? Can you not fuck with me today? Because today is not the day. I'm trying to focus on these lessons. You have got me fucked up. And I knew she was laughing. Wherever she was like, I got you good. So I asked him, may I keep this pen?
Yeah.
He was like, of course. So now I'm fucking freaking out about the pen. I drive home, and now I have to tell people I'm taking classes, because how am I going to explain the story? And I call her daughter, her daughter was my first friend on Long Island. Mm-hmm. I call her daughter, and I was like, yo, you sitting down, you're not going to believe this shit. This is fucking crazy. I'm going to fuck your whole life up. This is crazy. And, she and I, it was hard. It's hard. It's currently still hard. It's hard when you lose your mom. It's hard. Yeah. So, like, I had, and she's not a hugger. So I'd be like, I wish I could hug you, but I won't. So, like, she and I got even more bonded at that time. We were already super close, but then we got super duper. Yeah. So I'm telling her this shit. She's like, that's crazy. I was like, dude, it's crazy, right? So then she and I go to tell Justin, we go to tell, everyone we know, and they're like, I think it might just be a pen. And we were like, no! I'm pretty sure it's a message. So, yeah, that was, and ever since then, and I had already believed in signs and shit before that, but ever since that, of all the pens, and it wasn't like I was going through and looking. It was the pen I chose.
And it's not like it's a super common name.
No. And that's like my lady. Like, I love her. Like, I still... Dude, there's things where, like, I'll hear a piece of gossip and I'll call her daughter and be like, you know who would love to hear this shit? And, like, we'll be dying because we just know it's true. Like, I still think about that lady all the time. Like, that's my fucking girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That was a good one. I love that story.
Thanks. I love it too. I love her. Shit. You got me over here thinking about people, having feelings. This is a lot today.
It's a very special, I don't know. I like it. I like when people are open to having these kinds of conversations, because I think that you can learn a lot about somebody, and I love that you're into the woo-woo, because now I know that I can talk to you about that and not feel like a crazy person.
You're not. I believe all that shit. I really do. Mm-hmm. Into it. Why do you call it the woo-woo?
Oh, I don't know. I think I may have heard it called the woo-woo somewhere along the line. And how do you refer to it? Supernatural?
I call it the universe. I call it signs and symbols. I call it messages. I never heard it called the woo-woo, but now I'm going to start calling it the woo-woo. Except for that, David on The Real World used to say the woo-woo all the time. But he said it like or the. So like, you woo-woo, check it out, woo-woo, woo-woo. So when you said woo-woo, I was like, why does she call it that?
It's all encompassing, right? It's ghosts and crystals and sage and incense and astrology.
It makes perfect sense. I knew what you were talking about before I asked you what that was. I get it completely. All right, let me go. I'm going to go lay down. Oh, all
right.
You got me feeling down.
Too many feelings. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. That's it. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. As promised, we've gathered up some resources around pregnancy and infant loss, as well as resources where you can find information, whether you want to donate or just educate yourself about affordable, accessible women's health care. We've also put together a couple of books that you might find helpful when talking to children about pregnancy and infant loss. In the meantime, you can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can find us on Instagram at imperfectstrangers_podcast, on Facebook at Imperfect Strangers Podcast, Twitter at imperfstrangers, or shoot us an email at bs.strangers@gmail.com. In the meantime, meantime, you guys, don't be a stranger. Subscribe to our podcast, leave us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll see you again next Friday. Have a great week.